Today, YouTube. I'm on the road right now, as you can tell by the seatbelt and probably the steering wheel. I don't know if you can see it or not. I was eating corn nuts and I have a tickle in my throat from one of them that's caught. So if I break into a Hillary coughing fit, you know why. But I want to make a quick video. I'm going to see if I can even upload it. I might not even be able to upload it to YouTube while I'm on the road, but I want to make a video on some things I've been watching. Like I said, I've been out of town, so I watched some other YouTube channels and I want to comment on them. One of them was Zoon Politikons about Seth Rich. Another one was Texans about Saudi Arabia and funding that. So start with Texans one. He's upset or did a video where he disagrees with us funding Saudi Arabia. And I completely agree with that. What's her name? Tulsi Gabbard and Rand Paul have both introduced bills into their respective houses of Congress to try to prevent this from happening. Because there's no logical sense at all for us to be funding terrorists or companies that support terrorism. And if you can tell by the sound, I'm actually driving in a storm right now. It's raining, so you might get some extra background noise, but it doesn't make any sense for us to fund nations that fund terrorists or fund terrorists themselves. I think this is just common knowledge, common sense, yet we have to have a congressman and a senator introduce legislation into Congress to actually stop the U.S. from doing such a horrendous act. It kind of makes you wonder where our true motives lie. What's also funny, this is in 2014, I believe it was, John McCain actually went over to Iran and he had a picture of himself posing with a Muslim man. Well, what he didn't know is that that Muslim man was actually part of a terrorist group. So if we don't even know, if we can't even differentiate between a terrorist and someone who's an ally that's a Muslim, how do we know that we are giving arms or we are funding the right rebels? So it makes common sense to not fund any rebels because they might not be a terrorist to us, but they are a terrorist to somebody else. And it's not good for us to fund the enemies of our enemies. We have to get away from that. We have to bring the currency back, start funding our own programs. We have enough to worry about without having to try to solve global issues. So that's a big one of it. So I hope I stand behind Tulsi Gabbard and Rand Paul on this, because this bill should be made into law. This is common decency, common sense, and yet we neglect it like it's radical. Like it is our moral duty to fund terrorists. I don't see it. And then the other channel I was watching was Zoon Politikon, and she was discussing about Kim.com, basically saying he knew Seth Rich, or there's more than one website, more than one organization or agency, not agency, more than one group that's coming out with more evidence and more support that Seth Rich was in fact a DNC leaker, which most of us kind of believe, except the corporate media is trying very, very hard to try to negate that from our thought processes. And I think they're failing. I think they're failing because this continues to break. I type in Seth Rich on YouTube and I see video after video and it says new under the thumbnail caption. So you can tell this is definitely going. It's not trending though, because let's face it, the CEO of Google would never, ever allow something that would damage her own affiliation with the corporate media that are trying to fuel the Russia is evil narrative. Because when it comes down to it, this whole issue with Russia, this exonerates Russia. Seth Rich being confirmed as the DNC leaker exonerates Russia, and by default, it prevents the whole Russia and Trump narrative. So they lose their public support for impeachment. They're trying to garner public support for impeachment. And if Seth Rich is confirmed as a DNC leaker, which most of us believe he is, and let's face it, it's highly likely that he was, then they have no basis at all to impeach Trump. They're going to have to find a new story, which I'm sure they will, but this story, they think they're on the tilt of it. It's funny too, because Vegas betting odds has him at 60% he'll be impeached by his first term. I don't believe that at all. But they're going with public outrage, and public outrage is being fueled by the corporate media. So that's why it's imperative to try to refrain from gathering all your information from the corporate media, because they have their own designated goals and desires. They don't care about actually spreading the truth. They don't. They only care about what is their end goal. To that respect, they use basically forcible utilitarianism. They think the end justifies the means, and their end is to impeach Trump. So they don't care that a story could be reported, and that story could definitely exonerate Russia and really harm the true people that killed Seth Rich. They don't care about that because they have an end goal, and they have to follow the end goal. And it should be noted, too, that if Seth Rich is confirmed, that opens up a can of worms, because the question becomes, who killed him, and why did he die? Why was he killed? Could have been coincidental? Maybe. But if it wasn't, then it becomes a whole new thing, because then they have to focus on who was responsible for his death. So they have to look at the DNC, members of the DNC, the Clinton campaign. This could get really political and really deep-seated into, I guess you could say, political affairs. This could actually be a constitutional crisis. So it's not only important for them to try to denounce the Seth Rich story, it's imperative for them, because if they do not do so, it could be a constitutional crisis, and it will really reflect on all of their negativity. What I mean by that, if, let's say, someone in the media industrial complex knew the truth about Seth Rich, and they were hiding it. Maybe they knew why he was murdered. I mean, it's not conspiracy when you actually think about it. And then all of a sudden, the truth comes out, and more breaking news comes out. It gets reported. More sources come out of information. Eventually, all those people that are hiding behind this story because they don't want it told, all of a sudden are in the limelight, and they can actually be arrested, and they can be charged with a crime. So it's really important that this continues to be reported on. So I hope that all independent media and YouTubers and everything alike continue to support this story and publish this story and report on it and try to spread the word the best you can. And that is about it. And I'm done.